They say evil leaves fingerprints you can't always see. In Boston, those fingerprints still linger. In alleys, in whispers, in the uneasy way a door is double-checked at night. I am Detective Drayk, and tonight we walk back into a case that never truly closed. A legacy written in fear. The first thing you notice about the old apartments is the stillness. They stand like silent witnesses, bricks steeped in memories they'd rather forget. I can almost hear the creak of floorboards under hurried footsteps, the kind that come right before a scream. Albert DeSalvo confessed to being the Boston Strangler, but the deeper you look, the messier the truth gets. His confession was detailed, but strangely inconsistent. 12 women murdered between 1962 and 1964. Some were strangled with their own stockings. Others left posed almost ritualistically. Patterns, yet breaks in those patterns that still scratch at the surface of certainty. As I step through the cracked threshold of one of the old crime scenes, it's impossible not to notice the contradictions. Forced entries that weren't really forced. Victims who allegedly trusted their killer. And yet there are signs, tiny, overlooked, that point to someone else entirely. Different ligature marks, variations in knots. DNA evidence decades later would only muddy the waters further, confirming DeSalvo's presence in just one case. But what about the others? It makes you think. Sometimes justice is a narrative stitched together out of necessity, not truth. DeSalvo was a convenient answer for a city on edge, a public desperate for a monster they could lock away. But monsters rarely play by rules, and some wear faces you'd never expect. I notice how the press back then painted him, troubled but harmless, a hustler more than a hunter. And yet, behind the cheap smiles and carnival tricks, there was a hunger, one that Boston would pay for in blood. Standing in the dim hallway now, it's clear why these killings still haunt this city. They weren't just murders, they were invasions. Bedrooms, once sanctuaries, turned into final scenes. There's a gravity here, a pull that weighs down the air, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath. I glance at the door frames, marks too high for DeSalvo's known height. A minor detail, unless you're used to finding truths hiding in inches. There's a theory, whispered among old detectives, that the Strangler wasn't one man, but several. A copycat effect. Opportunists cloaked in the same fear, blending their crimes into a single mythos. If that's true, then the real horror isn't just what was done. It's what was never caught. I drive past the Charles River, the city lights reflecting on the black water, like 1,000 unblinking eyes. Somewhere out there, someone may have lived out their days, never answering for what they did. It's a thought that tastes like rust on the tongue. DeSalvo died in prison, stabbed in a facility where violence was just another part of the walls. Officially, his death was over an argument. Unofficially, well, even monsters have enemies. Every city carries its scars. Boston's just run deeper, closer to the bone. Maybe that's why, even now, locks are checked twice, and strangers eyed just a little longer. The Strangler may be dead, but the fear he planted still blooms in quiet corners. And the worst part, sometimes it's easier to believe a lie that lets you sleep at night than to accept a truth that leaves the door cracked open, just enough for the dark to slip back in.